Mia lived with her mother in a small rental house at the end of Green Street. The house was old but clean, with a narrow porch and a gate that squeaked when it opened. Her mother worked long hours at a nearby clinic, and Mia learned to do small things on her own. She packed her school bag, folded her uniform, and kept her room neat because it made her mother smile. Most days felt the same, and Mia did not complain because she knew life could be harder. She was the kind of child who listened more than she spoke. She noticed little details, like how the sunlight made patterns on the floor, or how a neighbor's cat always sat on the same wall. She also noticed how people looked when they carried worries they did not say out loud. Every afternoon, Mia walked home from school with her bag pressed to her chest. The road was not busy, but it had places that made her careful. There was a corner shop where older boys sometimes stood in a group and laughed too loudly. There was an empty lot with tall grass where stray dogs sometimes searched for food. There was also an old park that used to be cheerful but now looked tired. The swings creaked in the wind, and the slide had faded paint that peeled like dry leaves. Mia still liked that park because it was quiet, and quiet felt safe to her. She would sometimes stop at the gate and watch the trees move, as if the trees were talking in a secret language. She told herself stories in her mind to pass the time, and she imagined that one day she would write those stories in a notebook. That Tuesday afternoon, the air felt cooler than usual, and the sky looked pale. Mia stepped into the park path and heard a low sound she had never heard there before. It was not a growl, and it was not a bark, but it was a deep breathing sound like someone trying to stay calm. Mia followed the sound with slow steps and stopped near a bench. She saw a patrol car parked on the road beside the park fence. She also saw a large police dog sitting near the car, still as a statue, with a leash tied safely to a metal ring. The dog was strong and tall, with a focused face, but his eyes looked tired. His ears were up, yet his body looked like it carried a long day. Mia had seen police dogs on TV, and they always looked powerful and sharp. This dog looked powerful too, but he also looked like he was waiting for someone who had gone too far. Mia stood at a distance, unsure if she should move closer. She remembered her mother's strict rules about animals. Her mother always said to respect animals and never disturb working ones. Mia took one step back, then stopped again, because something about the dog's quietness pulled her in. He was not doing anything scary, and he was not trying to scare anyone. He sat there with patience, watching the world, and his eyes moved from the trees to the road like he was counting every sound. Mia noticed his water bowl near the car, and it looked empty. She noticed his mouth open slightly as he breathed, and she saw a little dryness on his nose. She did not think he was sick, but she did think he might be thirsty. A police officer was not nearby, and that made Mia even more unsure. She glanced around and saw no one inside the patrol car. She thought the officer might have gone into the park for a moment, or maybe to speak to someone on the road. Mia's heart beat faster because she did not want to get in trouble. She also did not want to ignore someone who looked like they needed help. She stood still for a few seconds and made a quiet decision. She would not touch the dog, and she would not get too close. She would only do one small thing, then leave. Mia opened her school bag carefully and searched the side pocket. Her lunch was usually simple because money was tight. That day she had a small food pack her mother had placed for her, and she had saved some of it because she was not very hungry at school. She held the pack in her hand and looked at the dog again. The dog's eyes met hers, and he did not move. The look was not angry. The look was alert, like the dog was trained to watch and understand. Mia slowly lowered herself to her knees at a safe distance and placed the food pack on the ground. She slid it forward with 2 fingers, gentle and steady, then she moved back. She kept her hands visible and her body calm, the way her mother taught her when meeting any animal. The dog leaned forward slightly and sniffed the air. His nose moved, and his eyes stayed on Mia. He did not rush, and he did not pull the leash. He sniffed again, then looked toward the patrol car as if checking the rules. Mia held her breath, afraid she had done something wrong. She was ready to stand and run away if she needed to. The dog's tail moved once, slow and controlled, like a small wave. Then he moved closer, still calm, and sniffed the pack directly. He began to eat carefully, not messy, not greedy, but clearly hungry. Mia felt her shoulders relax, and she realized she had been holding tension in her body. While the dog ate, Mia noticed more details. She saw a small mark on his collar that looked like a badge number. She saw his paws were clean but slightly dusty from walking. She saw his fur was brushed and well cared for, which made her think he was loved by his team. Mia wondered why he looked lonely then. She wondered if police dogs missed their handlers when they were away even for a short time. She wondered if dogs remembered kindness the way people did. She did not know the answers, but she felt a gentle connection in the moment. A few minutes later, the dog finished the food and sat again, as if he had never moved. Mia thought the moment was over, and she prepared to leave. Then the dog looked at her in a different way. His eyes were focused on her face, not the road. He studied her, calm and steady, like he was saving her image in his memory. Mia felt nervous again, but she did not feel scared. She felt seen, like the dog understood her without words. She gave a small smile, then stood up slowly. She whispered a simple goodbye that was more for herself than for the dog. She adjusted her bag strap and took a step toward the park exit. At that exact moment, a police officer appeared from behind the trees. The officer was holding a radio, and his expression was serious, like he had been handling something important. He looked toward the dog first, then noticed Mia. Mia stopped instantly, her face turning hot with worry. She expected the officer to shout or ask hard questions. Instead, the officer walked over at a steady pace and checked the dog's leash and bowl. He looked at the empty bowl, then at the food pack wrapper near the ground, then at Mia. Mia spoke before the officer could, because she could not stand the silence. She told him she only gave the dog a little food because he looked hungry. She said she did not touch him and she stayed back. Her words came out fast and shaky, and she hugged her bag like a shield. The officer's face softened slightly. He told her she did the right thing by not getting too close and by staying calm. He also told her police dogs have special routines and should not be fed unless the handler allows it. Mia's stomach dropped because she realized she might have made a mistake. She apologized quickly, and her eyes filled with tears she did not want to show. The officer raised his hand gently and told her not to worry. He said the dog had not eaten since early morning because their work ran longer than expected. He said sometimes rules bend a little when kindness comes with respect. Mia blinked, surprised. The officer then looked down at the dog and spoke a short command in a firm but caring voice. The dog's ears moved, and he sat even straighter. The officer gave the dog water from a bottle and patted his side with a trained touch. The dog stayed calm and obedient, but his eyes returned to Mia again for a brief moment. Mia felt relief, but she also felt a strange curiosity. She asked the officer the dog's name. The officer paused, then said the dog's name was Rex. Mia repeated the name quietly, as if it was something important to remember. Rex watched her lips when she said it, as if he recognized the sound. The officer told Mia she should go home before it got late. Mia nodded and turned to leave, but she felt Rex's gaze on her back as she walked away. She did not know why that gaze made her heart feel heavy and warm at the same time. When Mia reached home, she told her mother about the police dog in a careful way. Her mother listened closely and reminded Mia to be cautious around working animals. Mia agreed, but she also felt sure that her choice came from a good place. That night, Mia lay in bed and stared at the ceiling, thinking about Rex sitting alone by the patrol car. She wondered if he had a favorite toy, or if he slept near his handler, or if he missed home the way people did. She fell asleep with those thoughts, not knowing that Rex was also thinking about her in his own silent way. Across town, Rex rested in the police station yard, but he did not fully relax. He lifted his head when certain sounds passed, and he watched the gate as if expecting to see someone small and familiar. His training was strong, but his instincts were stronger. He remembered the scent of Mia's hands on the food pack. He remembered the calm tone of her breathing. He remembered the gentle way she stepped back to give him space. In Rex's mind, that kindness felt like a clear signal, like a safe light in a busy world. And somewhere deep inside him, A thought formed with quiet certainty. He needed to find that little girl again, and not just to say thanks. He needed to knock on her door. The next morning arrived quietly, but Rex did not rest the way he usually did after a long patrol. He lay in the station yard with his head lifted, ears moving at every sound, and his body tense like a rope pulled too tight. The officers noticed his behavior during early checks. Rex was trained to stay alert, but this was different. He paced in small circles, stopped near the gate, and sniffed the air as if searching for something that was not there. His handler, Officer Sam, watched him closely and felt that something important was pulling at the dog's instincts. Rex was not anxious without reason, and years of working together had taught Sam to trust that silent language. When the patrol began, Rex refused to move in the usual direction. He leaned toward Green Street, pulling gently but firmly, his focus locked. Officer Sam tried a calm command, then another, but Rex stayed determined. The leash grew tight as Rex planted his paws on the ground and waited. Sam sighed softly and made a choice that came from experience. He adjusted the route and followed Rex's lead. The patrol car moved slowly, turning onto the street where the houses grew smaller and quieter. Rex sat tall in the back, his nose lifted, his breathing steady, like he was getting closer to something he had already decided on. At the same time, Mia was getting ready for school. She moved through her routine with sleepy steps, brushing her hair and tying her shoes while her mother prepared breakfast. Mia felt calm but thoughtful, like a memory was resting in her chest. She kept thinking about Rex and the way he looked at her before she left the park. She did not know why that moment stayed with her, but it did. As she stepped outside with her bag, the air felt cooler, and the street was quiet. She locked the door and turned toward the sidewalk, ready for another normal day. The sound of a vehicle slowing down made Mia pause. She looked up and saw the patrol car coming closer, moving carefully as if it did not want to disturb the street. Her heart skipped when she noticed Rex in the back seat. His head turned instantly toward her, and his body leaned forward with clear recognition. The car stopped a short distance away, and Rex let out a low sound that was not loud but full of meaning. Officer Sam stepped out, his face serious but curious. He followed Rex's gaze and saw Mia standing frozen near her gate. Rex sat perfectly still, waiting, his eyes never leaving her. Officer Sam approached slowly and asked Mia her name. Mia answered in a small voice and held her bag tightly. Sam asked if she lived in the house behind her, and she nodded. He explained that Rex had led him here without hesitation. He said Rex rarely acted this way unless something important was involved. Mia listened carefully, feeling a mix of confusion and worry. She wondered if she had broken a rule without knowing it. She wondered if she was in trouble for feeding the dog the day before. Before Mia could speak, Rex pulled once more on the leash, gentle but firm. He walked straight to the gate and sat down, facing the front door. His posture was calm but serious, like he had reached his destination. Officer Sam felt a strange quiet settle around them. He asked Mia if anything unusual had happened near her home recently. Mia thought carefully and shook her head. She said nothing strange had happened, and she always came straight home from school. Sam nodded and made a call on his radio, explaining the situation in a steady voice. He asked for backup and a routine check, just to be safe. Mia's mother opened the door after hearing the voices outside. Her face showed concern when she saw the patrol car and the police dog. Officer Sam explained everything calmly and clearly. He spoke about Rex's behavior and his strong reaction to this location. He assured her that they were not accusing anyone and that this was only a safety check. Mia's mother listened closely and agreed to cooperate. She placed a hand on Mia's shoulder, grounding her with a familiar touch. While the officers waited, Rex remained focused on the door and the area around it. He sniffed the ground near the steps and lifted his head toward the side of the house. His movements were controlled and purposeful. Officer Sam followed his lead and noticed something small near the fence line. There was a torn piece of cloth caught on a nail, barely visible unless someone looked closely. Sam crouched and examined it without touching. He recognized it as something that could matter. His expression changed from curiosity to quiet concern. Backup arrived shortly after, and the officers moved carefully and respectfully. They checked the area around the house and the nearby yard, keeping Mia and her mother at a safe distance. No danger was shown to them, and everything was done with calm voices and steady actions. Rex guided the officers to a narrow path behind the houses, one that was rarely used. The trail led toward an old shed near the edge of the block. Rex stopped there and sat down, his signal clear. The officers secured the area and investigated the shed with caution. Inside, they found signs that helped connect missing details from a case that had troubled the department for days. Nothing harmful was shown to Mia, and she was never brought close. The officers handled everything quietly and efficiently. Rex stayed by the entrance, alert and steady, his job done. Officer Sam felt a deep respect for his partner, knowing that Rex had followed instinct mixed with memory. After the situation was resolved, Officer Sam returned to Mia's house with Rex. He thanked Mia and her mother for their cooperation. He explained that Rex had recognized something important after meeting Mia the day before. He said kindness and calm behavior could help a working dog reset focus after long hours. Mia listened with wide eyes, realizing that her small action had mattered more than she ever imagined. She did not feel proud in a loud way. She felt quiet and thoughtful, like she had learned something new about the world. Rex sat beside her, relaxed now, his breathing slow and even. Mia reached out slightly but stopped herself, remembering the rules. Rex looked up at her and gave a soft wag of his tail, a silent thank you. Officer Sam noticed and allowed a brief moment. Mia gently touched Rex's fur with one hand, careful and respectful. It felt warm and real, and the connection felt complete. When the patrol car finally drove away, Mia stood at her gate and watched until it turned the corner. The street returned to its quiet state, but something had changed inside her. She went to school that day feeling different, like she carried a secret that was not meant to be shared loudly. She understood that small choices could lead to big moments. And somewhere in the moving patrol car, Rex rested his head and closed his eyes, knowing he had knocked on the right door. The days after the patrol visit felt slower for Mia, as if time itself was walking carefully around her thoughts. She went to school, sat in class, and listened to lessons, but her mind often returned to the moment Rex sat at her gate. She remembered the way his eyes stayed calm and certain, like he knew something she did not. She did not tell her friends about it, because the moment felt private and important. At home, her mother noticed Mia was quieter than usual, but she did not push her to talk. She trusted that some thoughts needed space before they turned into words. At the police station, Rex's behavior returned to normal routines, but the officers still talked about what happened. They reviewed reports and matched details from the shed with information collected earlier. The missing pieces now fit together clearly, and the case moved forward smoothly. Officer Sam wrote his notes with care, making sure to record Rex's actions accurately. He knew that police dogs followed training, but he also knew they followed something deeper. Rex had not only tracked a scent, he had followed a memory connected to calm and safety. That idea stayed with Sam as he worked. Rex rested more easily now, but he often lifted his head when the wind carried certain smells. He remembered Green Street and the small house with the quiet gate. He remembered the soft voice and slow movements of the little girl who had respected his space. Those memories did not distract him from duty, but they stayed beside him like a steady anchor. When training exercises began, Rex performed with focus and strength. The handlers noticed his sharp responses and clear signals. They praised him, and Rex accepted the praise calmly, his tail moving with controlled pride. Mia's school days continued, but she felt more aware of her surroundings. She noticed people who looked tired and people who seemed lost in thought. She noticed animals more too, watching how they responded to gentle voices and patient actions. One afternoon, she saw a stray cat near the empty lot and remembered how Rex had looked before she helped him. She did not rush toward the cat, but she left a small bowl of water nearby and stepped away. The cat watched her from a distance, and Mia smiled softly, feeling that quiet kindness could travel without noise. At home, Mia's mother received a phone call one evening. She listened carefully, her face serious but calm. After the call ended, she sat with Mia at the kitchen table. She explained that the police department wanted to thank Mia properly for her cooperation and calm behavior. They did not want to make a big scene, but they wanted her to understand that her actions mattered. Mia felt nervous hearing this, but her mother squeezed her hand and told her there was nothing to fear. She told Mia that doing good things often brought attention, even when that was not the goal. The following weekend, Mia and her mother visited the police station during open hours. The building felt large and quiet, with clean floors and soft echoes. Officers greeted them politely and guided them to the yard where Rex trained. Rex noticed Mia immediately. His ears lifted, and his tail moved in a controlled wag. He walked toward her with permission, stopping at a respectful distance. Mia stood still, her hands at her sides, waiting for guidance. Officer Sam smiled and told her it was all right to greet Rex calmly. Mia knelt slowly, just as she had done before, and spoke Rex's name in a soft voice. Rex sat down in front of her, steady and calm. Mia gently placed her hand on his fur, feeling the warmth and strength beneath it. She felt safe, and Rex felt settled. Officer Sam explained how Rex worked and how important trust and calm were in training. He said that Mia had shown those qualities naturally. Mia listened carefully, taking in every word as if it was a lesson she wanted to remember forever. The officers did not praise her loudly or make promises. They simply thanked her and told her to keep being who she was. They gave her a small badge sticker as a reminder, not as a reward but as a memory. Mia held it carefully, understanding that the real value was not the sticker but the experience. She looked at Rex one more time before leaving, and Rex watched her walk away with calm acceptance. The bond did not need words or gestures. It existed quietly, steady and complete. Back at home, Mia placed the sticker inside her notebook. She began writing short stories in simple words, inspired by what she had experienced. She wrote about quiet streets, patient animals, and small choices that led to big changes. Writing helped her understand her feelings better. It helped her see that courage did not always look loud or bold. Sometimes it looked like stopping, noticing, and acting with care. Rex continued his duties, moving through days filled with work and rest. He responded to calls, followed commands, and trusted his handler. But sometimes, when the patrol car passed Green Street, he looked toward the small house with the narrow porch. He did not pull the leash or change direction. He simply looked, acknowledging a place where something important had happened. Officer Sam noticed this and felt a quiet respect for the depth of his partner's instincts. As weeks passed, the town felt calmer. People went about their routines, unaware of how close things had come to staying unresolved. The officers continued their work, and Rex remained a strong part of the team. Mia grew a little more confident each day, carrying herself with a quiet strength she did not notice herself. She still walked past the old park, still watched the trees move, and still told herself stories. But now, those stories carried a deeper meaning. One evening, Mia sat on her porch as the sun lowered behind the houses. She listened to distant sounds and felt at peace. She thought about how a simple act, done without expectation, had reached farther than she could see. She did not think of herself as special. She thought of herself as someone who chose kindness when it felt right. Somewhere across town, Rex rested after a long day, his breathing slow and steady. The world felt balanced again, and both of them, in their own quiet ways, were ready for whatever came next. Life slowly settled into a new rhythm for Mia, but the change inside her stayed strong and clear. She continued her daily routines, waking early, helping her mother, and walking to school with steady steps. The street looked the same, the houses unchanged, yet Mia felt more aware of every sound and movement. She understood now that even quiet places held stories that were unseen. She carried that understanding like a small light inside her, guiding the way she looked at the world. Her teachers noticed that Mia listened more closely and spoke with careful thought when she raised her hand. She no longer rushed her answers and no longer doubted herself as much. When classmates argued or laughed loudly, she stayed calm and patient. She learned that strength did not need to be shown with noise. It could exist in silence, just like it had with Rex at the gate. At home, Mia's mother felt proud without saying it too often. She watched her daughter grow steadier each day. One evening, she told Mia that kindness was a responsibility, not just a feeling. Mia listened and nodded, understanding the weight of those words. She promised herself she would carry that responsibility carefully. The police department continued its work, and Rex remained an important part of the team. His name became more known among officers who respected his sharp instincts. New handlers watched him during training and learned how focus and calm worked together. Officer Sam continued to guide him with trust and patience. Their bond grew deeper with every shared task. Rex responded with loyalty that never wavered. Sometimes during quiet shifts, Officer Sam thought about how unexpected moments could change outcomes. He knew that without Mia's calm presence and small act of care, things might have taken longer to resolve. He did not speak of it often, but he carried that lesson into his work. He paid closer attention to small signs and trusted instinct as much as training. Mia and Rex met again a few times over the following months, always in safe and approved settings. Each meeting was brief but meaningful. Rex stayed composed, and Mia stayed respectful. They did not need to spend much time together to understand each other. Their connection remained gentle and balanced, built on trust rather than excitement. One afternoon, the police department held a small community event near the park. Families gathered, children laughed, and officers spoke with residents in a friendly way. Mia and her mother attended quietly. Rex was there too, sitting beside Officer Sam, calm and watchful. When Mia approached, Rex recognized her instantly. His tail moved once, slow and controlled. Mia smiled, feeling that familiar warmth return. Officer Sam allowed Rex to greet Mia briefly. Mia knelt and spoke his name softly. Rex stayed still, his presence steady and reassuring. People nearby noticed the moment, but no one interrupted it. It was not meant to be a show. It was simply a shared understanding between a child and a working dog who had crossed paths at the right time. As the event ended, Mia walked home with her mother under a soft evening sky. She felt full, not of excitement, but of peace. She knew that moments like these did not need to happen often to matter. They only needed to happen once to leave a lasting mark. Back at the station that night, Rex rested comfortably after a long day. His breathing was slow, his body relaxed. Officer Sam looked at him with quiet respect. He knew Rex would continue to serve with the same dedication as always. But he also knew that Rex carried memories, just like people did. Those memories made him not weaker, but wiser. Mia sat at her desk later that night and opened her notebook. She wrote another short story, using simple words and careful sentences. She wrote about a girl who noticed, a dog who remembered, and a world that shifted because of one small choice. Writing helped her keep the lesson alive. It reminded her that kindness could travel far without needing permission. As weeks turned into months, life moved forward. The town stayed calm, and the streets remained familiar. Mia grew taller, stronger, and more confident in quiet ways. Rex continued his work, guided by training and instinct. Their paths no longer crossed often, but the connection never faded. On some evenings, Mia stood near her gate and looked down the street, thinking about how close things had come to staying unseen. She felt grateful that she had listened to her heart that day at the park. She did not think of herself as brave. She thought of herself as someone who chose to care. Far away, Rex lifted his head during a late patrol and looked toward Green Street once more. He did not pull the leash or stop the car. He simply acknowledged the place where something important had happened. Then he settled back, ready for the next task. The world continued as it always did, full of movement and quiet moments. But somewhere between a small girl and a loyal dog, a lesson remained clear. Even the smallest act, done with respect and care, could open the right door at the right time. And sometimes, when kindness is remembered, it comes back gently, like a knock that changes everything.